So starts and we see that there was a fun fair at a place. There was the crowd. All were enjoying themselves there. There was also a police officer. He notices a man fleeing while clutching a girl's purse. The police officer stops him. But he didn't stop. So police officer starts following him. But that thief goes to a basement of railway lines. That detective means that the police officer also goes behind him. He was searching for him. Meanwhile, a man with a mask puts a cloth on his face from behind and kidnaps him. When the detective comes to his senses, he finds himself between the railway. He was on a stool. There was a dangerous machine on his tongue. That was also making wounds in his mouth and tongue. And if he will, his tongue can be cut. He was scared that how will he save his life and go from here. Then there was a small TV in front of him, and a video plays on it. There was that strange man with a mask. He says to him that you are a bad man. You have witnessed false about 2 people in the court. Now that time has come when you will get punishment. The train will come here in few times and it will blow you. And if you don't want to die like this, make yourself free. If you will move, your tongue will be cut. And this will be your punishment. Now that police officer tries a lot. His hands were tied with the mysterious thing. That is making his hands wounded and his hands were bleeding. Somehow that police officer opens his hands. But due to that wire his hands were bleeding. Meanwhile the train also comes from the front. He was late. Now he will lose his life. The train blows him away. His body divides into very small pieces. His tongue was also cut. This scene was very painful. After this incident, other detectives also arrived there. But they couldn't recognize who was he. His body was in the worst condition. Here the scene changes. We see a man whose name is Zeke. He was a gang leader. There were many other criminals in his group. They were in a hotel. Zeke was saying to his companions that we have to rob a truck dealer. They start preparing their weapons. Now they all go to that drug dealer. After robbing the money from him, they were about to move out from there. But before they move out, the police arrive there. The police stop them. The police take them with them. Here a huge secret reveals to us. The man Zeke, who was robbing and was with that gang, he was basically a detective. And to do this was his mission. He was talking to a local police officer. Detective Zeke says that I don't trust the local police officers. Don't know how will they deal with this case. The girl which he was talking to, her name is Angie. She says to her that you should tell them. And you are thieving with them. He says that many years ago his companion had made a mistake. And when he makes his arrest, he was appreciated on this thing. He got the reward and medal, but the other police officers start hating him. They were jealous of him. Angie says to him that this is not fine to work alone. I am sending a co-detective with you. He is new, but you will work together. Now Zeke aggressively goes back to his table. But there was a rat. A dead rat. He becomes aggressive and he knew that it is done by the other police officers. Because the other police officers were jealous of him. But then the new detective arrives there. And says to him that I like you. I am also impressed by your father. He has done great works. And if we'll tell you the truth, I choose this profession because of your father. I also want to do work like him. And I feel proud that I will work with his son. Then Angie arrives there. She says to them to stop talking. There was an accident CCR in the railway lines and it is necessary for you to go there. Right now. They move to that place. Now on their way both detectives start talking. The new detective tells Zeke that I have a wife and love her so much. And I also have a daughter. I am happy in my life. Zeke says how these are just talking. Wait few years. Then these things will be normal for you. Even you will not like all this. Actually Zeke was separated. So he doesn't believe in these relationships. The new detective feels that there is no hope in Zeke. He talks sadly and rudely. That's why he seems rigid and boring. While talking, they arrive at that place. At that accident place. There was blood everywhere. Going there, they start investigating. But they also couldn't recognize that whose body was that. Then they go to their office from there. And Zeke receives a parcel there. There was a USB inside it. It was written on it that "See what's inside me." Zeke attaches it to his personal computer. When he opens it, there was a picture of a spiral in it. And when Zeke clicks it, a video plays. At the start of the video, a spiral was showing. Then the voice of someone comes. There was a message that the police officer had done wrong. And I will give punishment to everyone who has done wrong. Don't that he was the last police officer who is dead. More will die. The detective says to Zeke that I think he is Jigsaw. Zeke recognizes that building on which there was the spiral made. He says to him that we have to go there immediately. They move towards that building. There they see one more box. When they open it, there was the tongue of that police officer inside it. His badge was also with it. Seeing it, they come to know that the dead body was of that police officer. They understand that now this time Jigsaw wants to kill the police officers. They go from there and tells everything to Angie. Angie says that it has happened bad. I will also handle this case. He says to Zeke that I am making you tree leader of this case. Because you know how to handle all things. The police officer who was dead was the good friend of Zeke. Zeke goes to his home and meets his wife. He consoles her that don't worry, nothing will happen. Have patience. Now he asks some questions from this man's wife. But he couldn't get his answers. He asks her that can you give me his belongings? Like laptop and the things which he used. His ex-wife was also there. But he didn't talk to her and comes his home. There was his father sitting already in his house. He says to his son that tells me that what case is this and who is involved in this. But we see that Zeke is also rude to his father. Because their relationship was not good enough. Zeke wants his father to understand him and talk to him. But his father wasn't understanding and don't give him time. Zeke starts seeing towards the window. Then he remembers that he had solved a case. His co-worker means a detective killed a witness while saying that he attacked me. But Zeke knows everything. And Zeke made him arrest. They start doing work on cases. And this was Zeke's life. He was also sincere with his job. Now here the scene changes and we see two police officers. They were seeing CCTV footage. The footage of that officer who was going behind that thief. One of the police officers starts following that drug dealer. But he doesn't tell this to Zeke. While following, he reaches a dark building. There he didn't find him, but there was a covered thing. When he takes off the cover, there was that mask. He was a man who was wearing that pig mask. He was the same man who killed that police officer. The police officer gets scared and starts calling the other detectives. But none picks his call. He holds him and puts a cover on his face. He was in a water tub. He also entraps his fingers. And the traps which were on his face and fingers were connected. If one thing will move, the other will cut. Or it may harm the other thing. Then the same video plays in front of him on the TV. There was a man of pig mask in it. Here the scene changes. Now we see Zeke. He was calling the new detective. Then from there Zeke goes to his father's home. But he sees that his father wasn't anywhere. And we are shown in the flashback that his father had gone somewhere with a gun. That's why he wasn't at home. The next day Zeke receives one more parcel. In which there was one more USB in a box. When Zeke plays that USB, a doll was shown in it. Its face was also resembling a pig mask. Now Zeke goes to a place with the police. There was also a car standing. But when Zeke opens the door of that car, a dead pig comes out of that car. Zeke feels this is creepy. There he finds one more box. There were the fingers and badges of that police officer, who was dead in a water tub with those traps. This thing seems strange to Zeke. He goes to that place where that police officer was last time. And he died. There was the dead body of that police officer, and the TV was also on which that video was played. In the flashback we see how that police officer died. In that video that man with a pig mask said to that police officer to cut his fingers, or he will throw current in that water tub, and you will be killed. But that police officer, same like others, couldn't make himself free timely, and he was killed. Later his fingers were also cut. Zeke thinks that it is not done by Jigsaw. Because why he will kill specially the police officers? Someone surely wants to take revenge on police officers, we have to find him out. The new detective says to Zeke that, remember, is there any enemy of yours? He says to him, yes, I've arrested my one friend. Because he had killed a witness. Now he was released, so Zeke goes to meet him again. He was now in a church. And he was serving the church. Then Zeke asks him that whatever he heard and saw on that day was true. That man says to him, yes, I have done wrong. And I realized it. I shouldn't kill that witness. From there Zeke goes to his father home. But he again doesn't find his father there. He calls and texts his father. But he didn't get any response. The next day when Zeke goes to the police station, notices that the new detective doesn't come today. With it Zeke receives one more box today. When he opens that box there was a pig mask inside it. Its body was also with it. There was a tattoo on its body. There was an ink with it. It seems like blood. There was also a letter with it. It was written on it that when you will be busy saving your people, I will hold your boss. Zeke sees that was the skin of that new detective. Because the tattoo on that skin was on the arm of that detective. Then Zeke comes to know that there is a dead body without skin. He becomes worried that he may be the new detective. On the other side the world goes insane. That Jigsaw has returned. And he is killing everyone, but Angie was controlling them. She says to them that no, he is not Jigsaw. Now Zeke was driving his car. Meanwhile he receives some messages, in which he is told that one more police officer will be killed. Go and save him. On the other side he receives messages from his father to start an investigation on any old case. He understands that no, these are all fake messages. Because it was written in the letter that when you will do another work, I will hold your boss. He ignores those messages. Zeke immediately leaves for the police station from there. On the other side we see Angie in a dark place. The killer was also there. He holds her. He makes her lay on a saw and her body starts bleeding. Then after it he covers Angie's face with a cloth. Then there an audio plays on a recorder. It was saying that Angie, till today you have fight many cases. It is obvious there will be criminals and innocent peoples in it. Now those innocent whom you send in jail. Or make them killed. Or you couldn't speak in their right. And you couldn't favor them, so now you will get punishment in this revenge. Now you have two options. Push your back to the saw, it will cut, and the second option is that hot wax will be applied to your face. With it the skin of your face will be removed. Before it Angie was given the task to make herself free, but she couldn't. Time was over and the wax starts falling on her face. And she was killed here. Now going there Zeke checks the CCTV footage. He sees that the video of minutes from it was disappeared. This means someone has set this video. Then Zeke sees the active accounts of the police officers. The active account police officer had set this footage. He sees that his companion whom he made arrested and he killed the witness. His account was active. Even he was not in the police. On the other side one more police officer arrives there and says to Zeke that your father's account is also active. Zeke doesn't like this. Because whatever his father is, but he can't listen to anything about his father from anyone. They start fighting. They start hitting each other. Now Zeke immediately goes to that man from there. The man whom he made arrested. He was in the church. But Zeke couldn't find him because he was also missing. Now here we are shown the flashback that actually where was Zeke's father. He was at that place where that killer lived. There were a lot of spiral signs in that building, which were shown at the start of the video. Zeke's father was walking here and there with the gun, like he was searching for the killer. But then suddenly the killer comes and kidnaps him. And he sends a text to Angie from his mobile. On the other side we see that Zeke's hands were tied, but he somehow opens his hands. Then he sees that man who had killed the witness. He was also tied and there was a machine behind him that was throwing a mirror while crushing it to his back. There was a recorder on his back. Zeke listens to the audio from that recorder. It was that you have taken an innocent life, now you will also die. But Zeke was also there. And he can save him. Like from the pin he releases his hands. Zeke finds that key from which he can make him free. But as Zeke goes to open him, so the mirrors come from the machine and hit Zeke's back. And it was also hurting his companion's back. With it they feel pain. As Zeke opens him he sees that he has hurt with a lot of mirrors. Due to the wastage of a lot of blood he dies there. This means Zeke didn't get any benefit to open him. Zeke was worried. When he comes outside he sees that the new detective was in front of him. This means he was alive. Now that the new detective tells a truth to Zeke. He says that the witness whom your companion had killed was my father. I've heard everything and I knew everything. That who had killed my father. I have thought then that I will take revenge. But I was just quiet because of you. I want to do it with a plan. That detective says to Zeke that I don't have any family. I tell you everything false. And the message you received from your father's cell I've sent that. But now your father is kidnapped. I will give you an offer. Because you are very strong, so will you team up with me? Zeke unwillingly agrees with it. Because he had to save his father. Now that new detective again becomes innocent here. He calls the police and starts shooting himself. He tells the police that here it is shooting. After it that new detective gives a gun to Zeke. There was one bullet inside it. He takes him to the room where his father was imprisoned. He was also in a trap. He was hanged. Now that new detective says to Zeke that you have only two options. As this gun has one bullet. You can save your father. Or you can kill me. And if you will save your father I will kill him. If you will kill me then your father will already be killed in the trap. Because your father had made that article. While following that article my father was killed. While thinking a lot Zeke shoots on the trap. In which his father's life was saved now. After it he immediately runs towards that new detective. He has actually become a criminal now. He holds him and beats him a lot. Now because of the call of the criminal the police were already there. When they hear the voice of fire they come inside. But the door was locked so they start knocking on it. Now there was a wire connected with the door which was also connected with the trap of Zeke's father. That wire breaks and starts stretching. Zeke's father again hangs in the air in the trap. On the other side we see that puppet doll. It was having a gun. Its hand was up. Like it is pointing a gun at anyone. With it a fake gun also comes in Zeke's father's hand and he points it at the police. He was not doing this knowingly. The police think that he is about to shoot us. Without seeing anything the police start shooting him. And he was killed. While knowing everything Zeke couldn't tell anything. He starts screaming and weeping. Now we see that criminal means that new detective. He easily escaped from there. None had caught him because none suspects him. Now he goes in a lift. And points Zeke to close his tongue. Zeke was still weeping that he couldn't save his father. With it this movie ends. Thank you for watching.